welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is Becca host, Armando.
Hi guys, I'm Armando, and welcome to Wrestling with Siblings.
Alright, let's get started with our WrestleMania 36 review. We're going to do part 1, and then we'll get into part 2. Very, very interesting night. I absolutely loved it. A different WrestleMania, but for sure, probably one of the best.
Yeah, obviously the crowd plays a huge part in all the WWE events, but obviously you guys know, due to the situation the country's in, there was no audience, but WWE still did a great job in putting on a show.
And thank you to the talent, production, creative, everybody that took part in WrestleMania. We appreciate you. Thank you. And now let's get started with the reviews. All right, the kickoff show match for part 1 of WrestleMania was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro.
Gulak, very, very impressive these past couple of weeks. Ever since they put him with Daniel Bryan, he's been impressive not only in the ring, but also mentoring Daniel Bryan to get even better. And we've seen Daniel Bryan get better.
Yeah, we definitely have. I think there's a balance between both Gulak and Daniel Bryan there. And I think they both figured that out. And they both learned to mentor each other. And Gulak definitely applied that into his match with Cesaro at the kickoff.
Cesaro and Gulak, very similar styles. I think the difference in this match was the power of Cesaro. If you agree with that, I think that played a huge part on the match.
Oh, I definitely agree with you on that one. I do think Cesaro's power was the difference maker, and also the fact that he went in super confident. He knew that at any given moment, potentially someone like Nakamura or somebody like Sami Zayn was going to come out and assist him, and I feel like Cesaro thought, you know what? No one's going to come help Gulak. Bryan is definitely not going to do it. He has a match later on. He's going to be prepared for that. And I think that's one of the advantages that Cesaro had mentally going into this match.
Definitely have to agree with you on that as well. The mental part and also the numbers game, which played a huge part on the match. But Cesaro was prepared. The experience, and like you said, the power was the difference in this match.
All right, let's move on to the very first match of WrestleMania. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors for the women's tag team titles.
Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross finally getting their opportunity at the women's tag team championships. Overall, it was a great match. We saw the tag team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross really come together in this match.
Yeah, we definitely did when we saw them, a few months ago when they first got together. I said, this is going to be a very odd tag team. I wasn't behind them at first because I was like, I don't know if it could actually work, but it ended up working perfectly. They work perfectly well as a team. They balance each other out, and for whatever reason, Nikki knows what Alexa's next move is, and Alexa knows what Nikki's next move is, and that's what helps them out throughout any match that they have.
Yeah, I had my doubts about this team as well too in the beginning, like you said, just because Alexa Bliss has a history of kind of betraying her friends and talking smack about that. We've seen that in the past, especially with Nia Jax. So I kind of figured, I was like, okay, Alexa Bliss is going to use Nikki Cross to get what she wants, maybe to go into the women's SmackDown title. That's how I saw it going. But it turns out that they seem to get along and they're on the same page.
100%. But you also have to give props to somebody like Asuka and Kairi, saying the reason why is because we knew this team was going to work. But they do so well together. They keep their partner isolated. They use absolutely everything that they can to their advantage, and they're super confident going into every single match. And you have to give them credit for that. And I think one of their disadvantages was that they weren't ready for somebody like Alexa and Nikki Cross because they weren't sure what they were going to bring to the table.
Not only that, but also Asuka had an injury a couple weeks ago too. I believe it was in her hand. So she really wasn't 100% going into this match. And not only that, we also saw Kairi saying a couple months ago, she also had a huge injury that kind of just put her off to the side as well. So this team wasn't really prepared for Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, they definitely weren't, but they definitely put on a great show, and Alexa and Nikki Cross were able to become the new tag team champions. I'm looking forward to see what their next feud is, what they're going to do. You know for a fact they're going to defend the championships in all 3 brands. The Kabuki Warriors didn't really get the opportunity to do that, simply because the majority of the women were injured during that time. Now we finally have the Riot Squad back. We have Nia Jax, Tamina back. So that's one of those things where now there's more talent where they can officially defend the championship.
Yeah, Asuka pretty much used a lot in Raw for singles competition, not a whole lot on the tag team side as well.
But I also feel like that comes from Kyrie potentially being injured as well, and that's why they were kind of written off as a tag team. But I'm glad they got the opportunity to wrestle at WrestleMania, and they got the opportunity to defend. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go with the tag team
So we
title.
can say that Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are pretty much the solid tag team, the team to beat, because we haven't seen any of the Iconics yet. As we saw on SmackDown, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are kind of going at it because there's a situation between Otis. So there's really not a whole bunch of women's tag teams yet that we've seen. But we'll see what ends up happening with Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, we're going to see who dethrones him. All right, let's move on to King Corbin versus Elias. I think it was an overall great match. I think King Corbin walked in 100% more confident than he should have. He pretty much thought that Elias wasn't going to make it to this match. And if Elias made it, he knew he wasn't going to be 100%. So he tried to use that to his advantage throughout this match.
And I think that's what pretty much ended up costing him. He got a little bit confident because he's, like you said, Elias wasn't going to make it after the attack that he had suffered last week on the SmackDown episode.
Yes, and Elias walked in completely surprised Baron Corbin. It looks like he was prepared. It looks like he was ready. It looks like he was physically there, and that's what helped him out in this match. And he definitely gave Baron Corbin payback for what he did to him. And Corbin was definitely not expecting it. And I don't want to say underestimated Elias, but he kind of did in a way.
He was trying to take advantage from the beginning. As soon as Elias comes out, Corbin decides to go out and attack him right before the bell rings and try to get the upper hand. But Elias outsmarts him and ends up breaking the guitar on Baron Corbin.
Yes, 100%. All right, let's move on to Becky Lynch versus Shayna Blaszer for the Raw Women's Championship, one of the most anticipated matches going into WrestleMania. Overall, I think Becky Lynch was a lot more prepared than Shayna Blaszer was, and I think that's what really benefited her in this match.
Yeah, and Becky Lynch doing what all the champions learn how to do eventually, and that is survive. Part of being a champion is, like I said, learning how to survive. You don't necessarily have to dominate the match, but you got to be able to win and learn how to win, and that's what Becky Lynch has been able to do ever since she became Raw Women's Champion about a year ago.
She definitely studied Shayna Blaszer, and I'll tell you why. She was able to reverse every single submission that Shayna was trying to put into place because she knew that the moment Shayna got it locked in, it was over for her. She knew she had no chance, but she studied her. She definitely put that offense out there, and she was able to survive, just like Armando said.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you on that. Becky Lynch did do her homework on Shayna Blaszer because she knew the moment Shayna Blaszer were to do a submission move on her, it was going to be pretty much over. So what does Becky Lynch do? She waits for the perfect opportunity to reverse Shayna's submission move to get the pinfall.
And she beat her the exact same way she beat Ronda Rousey a year ago to become champion, and now 1 year later she used the same move and retained.
Yeah. Shayna Blaszer during this match, she, like you said, she didn't change her game plan. She tried to use her power and her submission, but again, Becky was the one that outsmarted her and was more prepared than Shayna Blaszer.
And Shayna Blaszer walked in 100% confident. The reason why I say that is because she went through 5 other competitors at the Elimination Chamber. She was the first woman to defeat every single competitor, eliminate all of them, and that gave her some boost. That gave her some confidence going into this match. And, you know, she walked in there and she was like, Becky has no chance. We saw her over the last couple of weeks. She was just like, Becky, you have no chance. Becky, you have no chance. Little did she know, she let all of that get inside her head, and she wasn't able to take down Becky Lynch.
Shayna Blaszer, the advantage that she would walk into this match with was the power from the beginning. I think that was going to make the difference, but again, Becky was able to outsmart Becky. Sorry, Shayna Blaszer.
Yes, 100% agree with you on that one. All right, let's move on to Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. From the get-go, I think Sami Zayn walked in with the advantage. Plain and simple, he had Cesaro there and he had Shinsuke Nakamura in his corner. Yes, Daniel Bryan had Drew Gulak there. But if you really put it into perspective, it's 3 against 2. So they still have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, and you know, Sami Zayn is always going to walk into a match with the game plan. Then it's going to be using Cesaro and using Shinsuke Nakamura. And what does he do? That's exactly what he does. He gained the advantage over Daniel Bryan and was able to be successful.
And Daniel Bryan dominated the majority of this match. You have to give him credit for that. He was quite impressive during this match. He was confident. He knew exactly what he was doing and exactly what he wanted. However, Sami Zayn always has a game plan. As you said, he's one step ahead of the game always, and he definitely stole the win to be able to retain and get that win over Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, Sami Zayn played with Daniel Bryan's frustration. He knew if he got Daniel Bryan frustrated, he was going to have a higher chance of winning, and that's exactly what he did.
100%. All right, let's move on to Kofi Kingston versus John Morrison versus Jimmy Uso. The winner of this match was going to become tag team champions. Each person is representing their team.
This match was one of my favorites. It was probably one of the top matches on night 1 of WrestleMania.
100% agree with you. I think Kofi Kingston, Morrison, and Jimmy Uso were all the perfect competitors. They all have experience in a match like this. I think the best person to represent the New Day in this type of match was definitely Kofi Kingston. He went in super confident. He knew what was at stake, and he knew what he had to do to survive. And him and Jimmy Uso have learned that. They learned how to survive, and they implemented that into this match.
Their styles is fit for a ladder match.
Yeah.
And that's what made it great.
It definitely is. They were all fit for this match. John Morrison went in with the game plan. We definitely know that. He was kind of chill, letting Jimmy Uso and Kofi do all the work, and he was going to capitalize on any opportunity that he got, and that's exactly what he did. He was there representing The Miz. He was there representing their teams, and he found a way to retain those tag team titles, and that definitely paid off throughout this match.
He took a play out of The Miz's playbook, pretty much. He pretty much was waiting for the perfect opportunity to capitalize throughout the match for Jimmy and Kofi to make a mistake, and you can see they kind of made a mistake, and that's where he capitalized.
Yeah, so everybody climbed the ladder. They were all up there at the exact same time. They grabbed the titles, and the moment that they had the championships in their hands, all 3 of them had them at the exact same time, and Armando and I were like, okay, so I guess the first person to land on their feet or land to the ground with the titles is the winner. And Morrison just grabs them, falls down, and he falls down with the championships, and that way he was able to retain. And that was brilliant. That was smart. Fantastic move by John Morrison. I kind of like that ending because it kind of had you in a little suspense, and you were just like, so what happens now? But Morrison, smarter than the other 2, and was able to retain his titles. And keep in mind, he also went through everybody at the Elimination Chamber.
Yep, he did. So Miz and Morrison are the best tag team right now that the WWE has.
100% agree with you on that one. I don't see anybody taking the championships from them anytime soon. I see them retaining it for quite some time. All right, let's move on to Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. One of my favorite matches of night 1. I think it was one of the most personal feuds we've seen in a really long time. You got to give credit to Kevin Owens. He did absolutely everything he could to finally take down Seth Rollins, and he definitely burnt it down.
Yeah, and Seth Rollins walked in this match with the advantage from the get-go. Why? Because his record at WrestleMania, if we're not mistaken, I think he's only lost twice, if I don't remember. But yet from the beginning, the mental part, that is an advantage from the get-go.
It definitely is. He definitely went in extremely confident, but he wasn't expecting what Kevin Owens had and was going to bring to the table. At first, it seemed like it was going to end in a no contest, or it was going to be a disqualification match because Seth got himself disqualified, and we know this from Seth Rollins. He cracks under pressure, and he was definitely put in a situation where he didn't know what was next, what he was going to do, so he got himself disqualified, and he was just going to leave, and Kevin Owens was like, no, we're not going to let this end this way. I challenge you again to another match. No disqualifications. You and I, let's go right now. Seth accepts, and this is where Kevin Owens was able to capitalize. This is where Kevin Owens became the best that Kevin Owens is.
I think the mistake that Seth Rollins made was he was trying to punish Kevin Owens from the beginning. And I think he didn't focus 100% on the match. He was just trying to get and make a statement to Kevin Owens, and that's what ended up costing Seth Rollins.
100%. But I also feel like Seth Rollins walked in with a lot more confidence because he knows he has AOP. He knows he has Buddy Murphy. But in this occasion, he was all on his own. And it was him face-to-face with Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens got inside his head. Kevin Owens did what he wanted to do months ago. And he finally burnt down Seth Rollins.
And Kevin Owens did mention something. That Seth Rollins, all the accomplishment he has made is because he has gotten help with somebody else. So Kevin Owens wanted to prove that Seth Rollins by himself, that he was going to be able to beat him. And sure enough, Kevin Owens did.
Yep. He lived up to those words that he put out there. All right, let's get into Braun Strowman versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship. Very, very interesting. Roman Reigns got pulled out of his WrestleMania match. Therefore, he got replaced by Braun Strowman. I think this is long overdue. However, I think it should have happened a year ago. I don't think now would have been the perfect time, but I completely understand why they did it. Braun Strowman definitely deserves it, and if there was somebody that was going to match up to Goldberg, it definitely was going to be Braun Strowman.
Yeah, it could have been a perfect opponent like Braun Strowman. I have to agree with you on that one.
The match was super, super short, though, but that's what we expected from the get-go. You're facing somebody like the Monster among men. It's definitely going to go shorter than expected, and that's exactly what it was, and he was finally able to capture the Universal Championship. It might not be the WWE Championship, but he's finally champion.
Yeah, and Goldberg not having enough time to prepare for Braun Strowman. It was kind of like a last-minute thing where they announced a couple days before WrestleMania, so Goldberg was kind of stuck, like, okay, how do I approach this match? So the approach he decided to do was try to end it quick, and we saw, I believe he speared Braun Strowman 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, and Braun Strowman was able to kick out of them. So he was trying to finish it quick because he knew that the longer it went, the more advantage Braun Strowman had.
I agree with you because Goldberg didn't have any time to prepare for somebody like Braun Strowman mentally and physically. He wasn't there. He prepared for weeks for Roman Reigns, and when you go into a match, you know who your opponent is going to be, and then it just gets switched 2 days before your match or a day before your match. You really don't have time to prepare, so that was definitely a disadvantage for Goldberg.
Yeah, and obviously the age difference plays a huge factor. Goldberg finishing it quick was going to benefit him because of his age, and same thing vice versa. Braun Strowman, the longer it went, it was going to benefit him because of his power, his speed, and his age as well.
100%. All right, let's get into one of my favorite matches of Part 1, The Undertaker versus AJ Styles in a boneyard match. I feel like going into this match, nobody really didn't know what to expect, and it definitely exceeded expectations. It was shot kind of like if it was a movie, and I think it was a new approach. It was something that WWE was trying out, and it completely worked for them. The response was fantastic.
Definitely, and everybody expected the Phenom Undertaker, and it turns out that we ended up getting the American badass version of Undertaker, which I thought it was pretty cool. Not only that, but I think they nailed it with the opponent AJ Styles as well, and I think it worked out perfectly. And I mean, we saw another side of Undertaker that we haven't seen in a while.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I think AJ really played a huge part into this. AJ took a beating, though, and you have to admit that. Undertaker was definitely put over, and we saw the Undertaker we haven't seen in a really long time, and I think, one, that was a surprise, and two, this shows that the Undertaker is probably in the best shape of his life since the last recent years. Maybe the last 3-4 years, this is probably one of the best matches he's had, but I also think AJ played a huge role, as you said.
Definitely AJ did play a huge role on this. I have to agree with you on that part.
Let us know in the comments below, do you think this is the end of The Undertaker? Will we see The Undertaker, and who do you want to see The Undertaker with next? Let us know below.
If you really analyze and everything, this is the perfect scenario for him to leave. Why? Because he pretty much rides off at night in his bike. The perfect scenario for him to leave. But again, I mean, you had this discussion, and it'll be nice if you were to have that moment with the crowd.
Well, yeah, because he's a legend. The career that he's had, he's one of the most loved talents in the WWE, and for him to go out, I feel like he deserves that acknowledgement from the crowd.
Not only that, but also AJ Styles learned the hard way that you do not mess with The Undertaker, especially when it comes down to mind games.
Yes, and he definitely made the biggest mistake, and that was bringing Michelle McCool into this entire feud, bringing this into the storyline. He definitely paid for that, and he made it personal, and what did The Undertaker do? He laid him to rest. Alright, let's move on to part 2 of WrestleMania. The kickoff show was Natalya versus Liv Morgan.
Liv, from the get-go, very impressive. She's probably one of the rising stars that Raw has, and she was very impressive. What better way to make a statement than defeating Natty?
Oh yeah, she definitely made the biggest statement of 2020, and in her career, this is the biggest match of her career and the biggest win of her entire career. We've known that she's super, super talented. We've known that over the years she's improved her wrestling skills, and she showed that here. I like where they're going with Liv Morgan. I like her new character. I like the in-ring skills that she has. She definitely proved herself against Natalya, and Natalya also did a fantastic job in this match. Natalya walked in with a whole lot of confidence, though.
Yeah, definitely, and Liv just keeps improving week after week after week, and again, what better to show your skills up with the seasoned veteran like Natty?
Yep. Alright, let's move on to the opening match of WrestleMania Part 2. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. I was not expecting this match to open up the show, to be completely honest with you. But this match was phenomenal. It was one of the best women's matches I've seen in a really, really long time.
Definitely, and it was one of the most anticipated. Rhea Ripley, one of the rising stars from NXT, was waiting to get her opportunity on Charlotte Flair.
Rhea Ripley making a statement out of Charlotte Flair. She went all out. She took absolutely everything she had. She did what she had to do. Unfortunately, she came out short, but she had that pressure of, if I can beat Charlotte Flair, I solidify my name as one of the very best, and I think that mentality really got to her in this match.
I think the experience of Charlotte Flair played a huge factor in this match. Why? Because Rhea Ripley started to dominate the match from the get-go. We saw it with the power, her speed. She tried to bring it down to the mat, and Charlotte was just waiting for the perfect opportunity, and she did. As soon as she targeted that, I believe it was the right leg, then that's when it was all Charlotte from there. She just kept on targeting that leg, move after move after move, until she was able to connect the figure 8.
Yeah, after that, it was pretty much over for Rhea Ripley. There was just no way she was going to capitalize. We saw how excruciating pain she was in, and Charlotte Flair capitalized on that every chance she got, and I think Rhea Ripley really wasn't ready for that. I think she walked in with a whole lot of confidence, and she was like, you know what, I know exactly what I got to do to defeat Charlotte Flair, but she definitely underestimated what Charlotte Flair was mentally capable of doing.
Yeah, I really thought that Rhea Ripley had a huge chance of winning just because they're so evenly matched. But again, do not underestimate the Queen in these type of matches. She is Big Match Charlotte, if you want to call it that way. You know, stealing a little catchphrase from JBL, but I mean, it's true. She is, what, a 10-time women's champion?
Yeah. She definitely is. You can never underestimate Charlotte Flair. She always has a game plan. She always has a backup plan. She knows exactly what she is doing, and that's how she was able to capitalize and get her hands on the NXT Women's Championship. Surprising ending. I really wasn't expecting that. I really thought Rhea Ripley was going to walk out champion. I feel like Charlotte didn't need the win. She definitely didn't. She did a fantastic job putting over Rhea Ripley, and I thought this was going to be Rhea Ripley's biggest match and the biggest win of her career. But we'll see where they go next with Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, me too. I had to actually pick Rhea Ripley to win because the same reasons Charlotte Flair didn't need the win, because of all the titles she has won and how big of a star she is. But again, the experience of Charlotte Flair played a huge role, and she did what she told Rhea Ripley a couple weeks ago, that she was going to take the match into deep waters, and if she did, she was going to be successful, and that's why she is the Queen.
If you look on the bright side, though, Charlotte Flair is going to go down to NXT, and she's going to help build rising stars. She's going to create new stars, new talent. She's going to go down there and put over as many women as she can, and I think we need that down in NXT right now.
It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out down with Charlotte down in NXT.
100%. All right, let's move on to Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with his wife, Lana.
I think this is probably one of the better matches that I've seen Bobby Lashley in these couple of weeks.
Yes, 100% agree with you on that one. I think he went super confident. I think this time having Lana was his biggest disadvantage. We know he lost this match because of Lana. She didn't want him to do a certain move, so she's like, you know what? No, you spear him. And he's like, oh, you're smart. And of course, he listens to his wife, and that's when Aleister Black capitalized on a black mass and was able to get the win on Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the mistake that Bobby Lashley made. I get it. Yeah, he's trying to listen to his wife, but I really do believe if he was gonna do his other move that he was gonna do, he would have been successful. Why? Because he pretty much had Aleister beat at that point because his power was just too much for Aleister.
Yeah, power played a really huge role. Aleister Black, it's hard to see him in the position that he was in this match. Why? Because Aleister Black is a striker. He knows, you never know when he's going to capitalize, when he's going to strike. And in this match, we didn't really see much of Aleister Black. And when he did come back, Bobby Lashley was right there to put an end to Aleister Black. But he wasn't counting on the fact that Aleister Black can execute the Black Mass at any given second. And that's exactly what he did, and that's how he took down Bobby Lashley.
Yep, and that was Bobby Lashley's mistake. But even though I got to give props to Bobby Lashley because he was focused throughout the entire match.
100% agree with you on that one. All right, let's move on to probably the biggest feud or the biggest storyline going into WrestleMania. Everybody was looking forward to this, and I feel like this match would have been so much better with the crowd, and it needed a crowd. But let's get into Otis versus Dolph Ziggler, accompanied by Sonya Deville.
Yeah, it surprised me that Sonya Deville actually walked out with Dolph Ziggler. But again, it looks like they have a friendship there going on. They're on the same page as far as what they want with Mandy.
Yes, the difference maker in this match was Otis. The power. Plain and simple, that's what it was. Dolph Ziggler, you can tell his speed was going to end up helping him. But at the end of the day, you can't match up speed with power. And what does he do? He goes after Otis because of the distraction from from Sonya Deville, and he low blows him. And at this point, I'm like, oh man, he really has a win. He took down Otis. But little did we know, his peach, Mandy Rose, comes down. She takes down Sonya Deville, and then she goes after Dolph Ziggler, and he's like, hey, you're ruining everything. What are you doing? And she low blows him, and she helps Otis gets the win. The perfect fairy tale ending.
Yeah, I think Otis walked in super focused in this match. He wanted to get his hands on Dolph Ziggler, and I think that was the difference. Dolph Ziggler didn't want no part of Otis or anything to do with them, so he was kind of trying to get the count out, was trying to run, trying to finish the match quick, but it didn't work out for Dolph Ziggler. So it was a huge win for Otis. We're going to probably see more of Otis in singles competition, if anything.
I don't think Dolph Ziggler was expecting Mandy Rose to come out and actually help Otis after what we saw on Friday. I think she was kind of conflicted, but I think both Sonya and Dolph were not expecting Mandy to come out and help. And at the end of the day, Otis got the girl. He got what he wanted, and it's going to be interesting to see where this plays. And now, Fire and Desire is no more. One of our favorite teams. We thought they should have been tag team champions before they split, but this could potentially lead to them coming back stronger than ever.
Yeah, and it'll be a good thing for both Mandy and Sonya Deville. They could establish themselves as single competitors, and why not maybe towards the end of the year or whatever, they could come back together and be united and be even better. Same thing with Otis. I think they're probably going to go with Otis in singles competition for a while, and they're probably going to have Mandy at ringside with them, and then maybe after that he could get back with Tucky and start going back again in tag team. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out what happens. I can see Sonya managing somebody like Dolph Ziggler, which is great now, because if you really look in the stands, the only woman that was ever managing anybody was Selena Vega. She was the only woman managing a male talent, and now we could potentially get Mandy and Sonya managing people like Dolph and Otis. So that's a great thing.
Not only that, but Dolph and Sonya Deville, they kind of have the same personality, the same attitude, kind of like cocky. It's so I don't know. They're personally kind of fits, and I think it would make a great team if you were to partner them together. Well, Sonya Deville being manager of Dolph Ziggler, I think it's going to work out great.
I agree with you on that one. All right, let's move on to the last man standing match. One of the most personal feuds we've seen in the last couple of years. Edge versus Randy Orton. This is probably the best we've seen Randy Orton in the last couple of years. I think Edge brought out that new fire. He kind of brought out a side of the Viper in Randy Orton.
Yeah, and I think Randy Orton walked into this match and be like, you know what? I'm going to try to end it quick. If we saw that. Why? Because before the match started, or when the match started, he sneaks up to Edge and RKOs him 3 times.
Yeah.
From behind.
And he walked in and he was like, this is my biggest advantage. This is my opportunity, and I'm definitely going to take advantage of that. But he underestimated that Edge is the ultimate opportunist. And Edge always finds the perfect moment to capitalize and to get a victory. He didn't much do that in this match. It was mostly all Randy, and Randy caused the biggest pain and the most brutal attack to Edge. But at the end of the day, Edge was able to get the victory.
I think it was a very physical match. I felt that both Randy and Edge didn't want the match to end quick. They both just wanted to punish each other till they were satisfied. And I think Randy didn't make a mistake, but he got caught up in trying to do the punt that he usually does, and I think that's where Edge was able to capitalize on the win.
You also have to keep in mind that Edge had anger inside of him. He was angry. He wanted to get retribution for what Randy did to Beth Phoenix, and I think that was stuck in his mind, and I think that's kind of what played a role in his performance in this match. He did fantastic, but it was mainly all Randy. But as soon as he capitalized, it was all Edge from there, and there was nothing Randy could do about it.
Overall, this was a great feud, a great storyline from the beginning. I thought it was great that they partnered Randy and Edge for Edge's first match back.
Oh yeah, the feud, the athleticism we were going to see here, the matches, it was going to be fantastic, and I think there was nobody better to put Edge with than Randy Orton.
So what's next for both Edge and Randy Orton after WrestleMania? I do see this feud being done. Edge, you could probably put with someone maybe like Seth Rollins, like Kevin Owens. There's potential to go with on there.
The thing about both of these competitors is you can literally put them with anybody and they will deliver. They're going to have a great match. You can use them to put over other talent. You can use them to have killer feuds, killer matches. But I also think the stipulation really helped out this match.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Austin Theory and Angel Garza, accompanied by Zelina Vega versus the Street Profits for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
From the get-go, Street Profits walk in with this at the advantage. Why? Because they're the champions and they automatically get champions advantage, meaning they could win via count out, and that's always a huge plus.
And we gotta admit, Garza and Theory walked in with a whole lot of confidence. They walked in thinking they were gonna walk out with the championships, and they also had Zelina Vega by their side, and Zelina gives them that boost. She gives them that confidence. She knows exactly what she's doing, and I think she mentally prepared both of these competitors. I just feel like the Street Profits were definitely like this, and they knew that Zelina could attack at any time. They knew they were at the disadvantage, plain and simple, because they don't know what Zelina has up her sleeve, but they were more prepared than Garza, Zelina, and Theory.
The Street Profits learned from the match that they had with Garza and Austin Theory on Monday this past week, and I think they used that to advantage, and they used the same strategy to capitalize. I like this team of Garza and Austin Theory. They've just been solid, and if they get more time together, they're just going to keep getting better and better, and I think this is going to be the tag team to beat for everybody else in the Raw division.
Yeah, it's that unity that the Street Profits have, and I think that's their biggest advantage. In this match, though, Zelina, I guess, ended up costing them the match, and she took out her frustration. She took out the anger that Garza and Theory weren't able to become tag team champions after she had told everybody that they were. She took out her frustration on Montez Ford, and she paid for it because Bianca Belair, making her main roster debut, her WrestleMania debut as well, comes out and attacks Zelina Vega. Very, very interesting.
I don't see the end of these two tag teams. I think this has for it to go a long ways. And then Selena and Austin Theory and Garza is going to be the standard of the tag team division. They're going to be the ones that are going to set the bar.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. Wait till Andrade comes back, and that's going to be the team to beat. They're at the advantage right now because when Andrade comes back, you don't know what to expect, and that's what's going to help Theory and Garza moving forward. Bianca Belair, welcome to the main roster. It's going to be interesting to see what you bring and what you have in store for us, the WWE Universe. And I think it's completely perfect that they put her with somebody like Selena Vega. I think Selena's going to make her look like a star, and I think Selena was the perfect person to put Bianca Belair with.
Definitely have to agree with you on that one.
All right, let's move on to the Fatal 5-Way Elimination match. Sasha Banks versus Lacey Evans versus Tamina versus Naomi versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. This match, right off the get-go, Bayley and Sasha Banks, they were like, you know what? We are going to tag team everybody until the two of us are left, and that's exactly what they did. They went in with a strategy.
Yeah, and in these type of matches, the champion is the one with disadvantage. But the advantage that Bayley did have, like you mentioned, was Sasha. And from the beginning, they decided to tag team everybody that was there to eliminate the competition till it was them two.
So one of the biggest things that you also have to give all of the women props to here is the fact that they all knew that the biggest threat was Tamina. So what did they do? They started off going up against each other, and then they're like, you know what? No, we have to target somebody like Tamina. And what do? Bayley takes her out. Sasha takes her out. Naomi and Lacey see their opportunity. They take her out. They all get on top of her. They all pin her, and she was out. This was pretty much an even match from here. But even then, Lacey and Naomi were at the disadvantage because Sasha and Bayley are always on the same page.
Smart strategy by all the women, taking out the bigger, the more powerful opponent from the beginning, because then that is going to even out the playing field for all of them. Like you said, Lacey and Naomi also at the disadvantage, but if you really look at it, it was even numbers all around.
Yeah, it definitely was even numbers. You have to give props to people like Lacey Evans, people like Naomi, who put their heart and soul into this, and they come out looking like stars. I really thought it was going to be Lacey Evans this time. So we had predicted Sasha Banks, but she got eliminated by Lacey, I believe, and then the last two were Lacey and Bayley, and I was like, this is it. This is going to be Lacey Evans' moment. But I was wrong. Bayley ended up retaining with the help of Sasha, and at some point, their egos got the best of them. They had a little conflict there, and I think that's what really got inside Sasha's head, and that's what got her to get eliminated.
I thought that when Sasha, Bayley, and Lacey Evans were there, I thought it was over for Lacey Evans. Let's be realistic, because the way Sasha and Bayley were working up in that point, we're like, okay, they're both going to gain up on them, and what happens is Lacey Evans takes advantage of a mistake that Bayley and Sasha make, and what does she do? Lacey Evans connects Sasha with the woman's right and was able to pretty much steal the win over Sasha. And then that's when, okay, Bayley and Lacey Evans are together one-on-one, and you're like, okay, now Lacey Evans has a higher possibility of winning, but little did she expect that Sasha came back into the match. Keep in mind, there's no disqualifications, and takes out Lacey Evans and helping out Bayley with the win.
I think at this point, Sasha's going to play it off. I think she's going to pretend to be Bayley's friend, find the perfect opportunity, and take the championship from her. She's going to betray her. We saw the look that Sasha gave her. Bayley, I would watch her back, because now you have an even bigger target on your back. Now you have the boss going after your championship, and I can guarantee that's going to be one of the greatest matches we'll ever see.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Bayley has gone pretty much through the entire SmackDown roster ever since she became champion. And not only that, there's one opponent she hasn't faced, and that opponent she hasn't faced is Sasha Banks. And not only that, but this is a different Bayley than before Sasha Banks came back. This is a different Bayley. This is the Bayley that we've all been wanting to see, the Bayley from NXT, if you want to put it that way.
But this is also a different Sasha Banks, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play forward, how they move forward. going into Money in the Bank and moving forward to the next pay-per-views to come.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to stick together towards Money in the Bank, and if anything, we'll probably see some conflict towards like SummerSlam and stuff like that, if anything.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that one. All right, very, very briefly, we're going to get into John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt, the Firely Funhouse. Again, another cinematic shot match. This one kind of just goes through all of their characters. It goes through John Cena's Ruthless Aggression time, to the Doctor of Thugonomics, to the John Cena that we have now, and then we go to Bray Wyatt's different phases. I think that was interesting. I think the way they played it out was perfect. Bray Wyatt was digesting every single character that John Cena had.
Yeah, and same thing with his own self, with Bray Wyatt, husky hairs, which when he first started, up until where he is right now. So it's one of those matches where you have to see it to understand where this is going.
100%. And nobody plays mind games better than Bray Wyatt, and he definitely played those mind games. He made everything backfire on John Cena, to put it that way. If you haven't watched the match, go watch it. I think it's great, but you have to really watch it to really understand the perspective that they were trying to go in with.
Yeah, and what ends up happening is the Fiend, Sister Abigail's John Cena, he ends up getting the win. So then now the question is this the end of John Cena? Are we going to see more of John Cena? Or what's going to happen?
I guess we'll have to stay tuned and watch and see where this goes. Alright, let's move on to Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, the final match of WrestleMania, the main event. Probably the most anticipated match by us. You guys know we're very behind Drew McIntyre, and finally he gets his opportunity. He finally got his hands on the WWE Championship.
Definitely. From the get-go, if you analyze this match on paper, it's the perfect scenario for McIntyre. Not only that, but he's the one that could physically match the strength of Brock Lesnar, and it's a very, very rare to see a superstar to do that.
Yeah, he was the only one in the entire roster, if not in the entire WWE, that can actually match up to Brock Lesnar. We've seen people like Samoa Joe, we've seen people like Braun Strowman, but I think physically, mentally, emotionally, Drew McIntyre gets it. He gets Brock Lesnar, and he was able to do what nobody else was able to do, and that's get inside the head of Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman.
Yeah, and McIntyre did a great job on that, but just the physicality that he used, and he was motivated ever since he won the Royal Rumble, and his level of confidence was up there. And what does he do? He ends up claymoring Brock Lesnar 3 times, and he ends up getting the win, so he is the new WWE champion.
Congratulations, Drew McIntyre. What's next for Drew McIntyre? What's next for Brock Lesnar? Who's going to be Drew McIntyre's first feud as WWE champion?
I don't know who will be his first feud, but one that I would personally like to see him work with is Randy Orton. I think he would have a great storyline, a great feud with Randy Orton. I mean, we saw what Randy Orton did with Edge. Now imagine what he could do with McIntyre. And as far as for Brock Lesnar, I think Brock Lesnar is probably going to take some time off. Usually what he does when he ends up losing a match and stuff like that.
And he usually comes back during SummerSlam. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out within the next couple of months. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become a part of the Siblings today. And for those of you that do not know what WWS stands for, Armando, what does WWS stand for?
Wrestling with Siblings. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time.